Welcome to the Doomed Planet Podcast, Season 3, Ecocide.
Bud.
Why?
Bud.
Why?
Bud.
Why?
Bud.
Why?
Oh.
Hey everybody, this is Alex, and you're listening to episode 75, Amphibian Armageddon. I was going to call this episode Frog Apocalypse Now, but I saw online that some right-wing kooks used a variation of that in a headline. We're season 3, Ecocide. Capitalism, is the culprit to blame for most of our radical decline. And, this show is about amphibians, last time, insect apocalypse, pick any group of living things and we can probably show you a decline. And maybe not jellyfish and tunicates. Again, the ocean might end up just being, as I've said many times, jellyfish and tunicates. Like the entire ocean, just a big bucket of fucking slime. The U.S. Geological Survey asks, why are amphibian populations declining? Research suggests that even though amphibians are severely declining worldwide, there is no smoking gun, and thus no simple solution to halting or reversing these declines. Well, there is no capitalist answer to halting or reversing this ecocide that capitalism has inflicted upon the planet. So yeah, the smoking gun is get rid of that system, come up with something fucking better, and maybe we have a chance to dig ourselves out of this hole. Nature is very resilient. It will come back. So the USGS has a bunch of reasons for the decline in amphibian populations, specifically in the United States. Human influence from the Mississippi River east, including the metropolitan areas of the Northeast and the agricultural-dominated landscapes of the Midwest. Disease, particularly a chytrid fungus, pesticide applications, and climate changes. Amphibians, unlike people, breathe at least partly through their skin, which is constantly exposed to everything in their environment. Consequently, their bodies are much more sensitive to disease, pollution, toxic chemicals, habitat destruction. They're like the canary in the coal mine, and nice, squishy, lovable, cute little canaries in our giant coal mine. So 4 major causes of this decline. Injuries from predators. That's bullshit. That's the balance of nature. A specific parasite, which is a fluke. It's a type of flatworm. That also, the balance of nature, that's bullshit because the balance of nature could work out those problems. Nutritional deficiencies caused by human encroachment, obviously, and lo and behold, contaminants. And you know what? The contaminant that really hurts these amphibians, also humans and other organisms too, atrazine. According to the EPA, atrazine is a chlorinated triazine systemic herbicide used to selectively control annual grasses and broadleaf weeds before they emerge. Highest use is on corn. Atrazine is manufactured by the fine folks at Syngenta. They make a whole bunch of other nasty stuff too. By the way, atrazine is banned by the European Union. So a few years back, in the Daily Caller, this dimwit Alex A. Avery posted an article, Frog Apocalypse Not, Amphibians and Atrazine. An herbicide popular with farmers but targeted by environmentalists because it is supposedly responsible for chemically castrating frogs has been absolved of the crime. A paper published in October in the Public Library of Science reveals that frogs are thriving in America's agricultural heartland. This bullshit was republished by the Hudson Institute. That's a research organization promoting American leadership for a secure, free, and prosperous future. As you can imagine, the Hudson Institute is another climate-denying, billionaire-sponsored fucking think tank of right-wing assholes and has received funding from ExxonMobil and the Koch family foundations. There are many peer-reviewed studies showing that atrazine is harmful to living things, specifically amphibians. Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences published an article 12 years ago. Atrazine induces complete feminization and chemical castration in male African clawed frogs. Let's go to this random YouTube guy, Water Nerd. He can explain for us atrazine, wonder chemical of the ages, and how great it is.
Atrazine is the most common pollutant in groundwater and surface water in the United States. You may have heard of this chemical from the movie Toxic Baby. Atrazine was developed by a Swiss pharmaceutical company in 1958 and has grown in popularity since. This toxic chemical is an herbicide used on crops such as corn, sugarcane, and sorghum. This chemical is a stubborn contaminant that can last a few months in the soil and then slowly migrate into the groundwater. Atrazine tends to break down more slowly in water than in soil, and as a result, it can persist in water even longer. Atrazine is associated with causing a disruption to an organism's hormone regulation and reproductive problems such as an increased risk of miscarriage, reduced male fertility, low birth weight, increased chance of any birth defect, and a higher incidence of abdominal defects.
Okay, September 27th, 2022, KCUR, it's an NPR station. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly sides with Trump, urges Biden's EPA to back down from herbicide rules. A Democrat running for re-election in a deeply Republican state, Kelly sided with the Trump administration's loosening of rules for spraying the chemical in areas where it has built up in the local water. The National Corn Growers Association, boy, I wonder if they're all gung-ho for harmful pesticides, considers atrazine a critical tool that allows farmers to do more with less. It called on farmers this summer to protect atrazine by writing to the EPA. The European Union banned it 2 decades ago. Herbicides play an important role for most farmers who stop plowing, and this is true. Reduced tilling benefits the environment by slowing down the loss of topsoil and nutrients, leaving fungi and other soil life intact, more or less, and reducing farmers' diesel usage. But scientific research has found that atrazine can weaken frogs and other water life, making them more susceptible to diseases. More and more amphibians are succumbing to disease. It also chemically castrates them, not mentioned in this article, but they do mention in 2016 the EPA reviewed the science and published a 500-page risk report, Refined Ecological Risk Assessment for Atrazine, that warns of repercussions for mammals, birds, reptiles, fish, amphibians, land and water plants, based on the results from hundreds of toxicity studies. Forget the science, though. You know, big money is big money, and they stop at nothing to destroy the earth, and they'll go after you. They'll go after anyone that contradicts their lies.
Well, I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. We've been with you for 18 years as we turn to another story.
Yes, now we turn to the story of a University of California scientist who discovered that a popular herbicide may have harmful effects on the endocrine system. Tyrone Hayes was first hired in 1997 by a company that later became agribusiness giant Syngenta. They asked him to study their product, Atrazine, a pesticide that is applied to more than half the corn crops in the United States and widely used on golf courses and Christmas tree farms. But after Hayes found results that the manufacturer did not expect, that atrazine causes sexual abnormalities in frogs and could cause the same problems for humans, Syngenta refused to allow him to publish his work.
Syngenta, owned by a Chinese company right now, based in Switzerland. And their business model is peddling poisonous chemicals to all over the world in the name of, efficient farming, because we have to feed all these people, and there's going to be more and more, billions and billions of more people, and we need to feed them by poisoning the soil and subsequently the water table so we can grow that corn. One of Syngenta's many poisons. Again, I might have said Syngenta earlier, but you get what you pay for with this podcast. Acuron, that contains atrazine. The beauty of our modern age is that I can go on YouTube, and every one of these evil, earth-destroying corporations has their own page with their own videos, and I can rip audio from that, and it's very easy. So let's go to one of the many propaganda pieces promoting an atrazine, a product containing atrazine. And again, remember, radical, I don't have numbers, but radical decline in amphibian populations all over the world, in the United States, especially in the corn areas. Is Acuron herbicide worth the price? What an ironic title.
Everybody initially has a little bit of sticker shock when you switch to Acuron or Acuron Flexi from something like Lexol, or some guys are running the generics that's just not working, and this is definitely going to cost you a little more up front. I can tell you this for certain, if somebody buying the grain off your field also, that money's going to come right back into your pocket when you go to sell your crop in the fall. It really has done an excellent job of boosting yields, just staying clean. And then we have guys that have tried a lot of the generics, and then they're failures, and then a lot of the time we will come back with a really expensive post cleanup. I have one guy that this year really wanted to go to a cheaper route. He used a herbicide that I'd call definitely a second tier. It wasn't quite generic, but definitely not to the quality that Acuron is. And when you count that plus all the post cleanups, we're going to have 3 applications in a total of over $100 an acre just in chemical. Whereas the Acuron, if you'd have split shot it, we could have done it for right around 60 like this farmer here has, and really had nice clean fields, and who is definitely going to have a lot higher yielding corn in the end.
A Google image search for frog deformities. You could add atrazine to that search. Horrible pictures. I'm reminded of the American Empire in our wars against Iraq and the people of Iraq. We used depleted uranium in many of our munitions. It's cheap and effective. We also burn a lot of that shit in burn pits. And there's a high percentage of women who give birth in Iraq have these luckily they don't live, horribly deformed babies with horns, cyclops, fingers coming out of their necks, just in this most horrifying stuff you could ever imagine. Sort of like this with these poor frogs. Although some of these images look fake. You got a frog with shark teeth. But like a frog with 3 legs, and one of the legs has 2 flippers. And in the old days, it was kind of mutations are a thing. In the old days, oh, look, a 2-headed snake. Oh, remember 200 years ago, there was talk of we found one of those. And now you got frogs all over the place, flopping around in Kansas, dying, hopefully, mercifully. I don't know. I mean, these deformed frogs, they don't die young. They grow to adulthood, many of them. It's sick. Anyway, once again, fans of Alex, his many projects that always reach a very small audience. This episode, not great. I mean, I just jumped into it. Again, realizing, damn, I pay $7 a month for hosting, and now it's September 30th. I got to whip out a podcast this month. Things will get better, people, I swear. The magic will come back. It's harder for me to do these ecocide themed podcasts than it is to do Seattle history of crime. Seattle history of crime, also more popular in the stats. Yeah, what are you going to do?
Podcast shout out.
Podcasts that I love these days, Grill Stream. This is Matt Christman. He's one of the Chapo Trap House guys. I think this is some live Twitch stream he does, but he's a brilliant guy. You want to learn anything about world history or contemporary, politics and stuff, he'd be your guy. Minion Death Cult is also good. Antifada is awesome. And a new one that I think I discovered recently, Collapse Talk. Really good stuff. I encourage you to check all those out.
And now, bad decisions.
For this episode, the bad decision is that I waited until the very last minute to whip out another half-assed fucking podcast. Better times are coming. Again, 3 years ago, I was taking copious notes, making printouts, doing a script of some sort. But, boy, take the magic of my incredible talent and give me some money. And, boy, you'd see a weekly show that would do real numbers. For sure.
Give me some money. Give me some money.
Okay, that's a wrap on Doom Planet Podcast, Season 3, Ecocide, Episode 75, Amphibian Armageddon. We'll see you next month, and that's October and Halloween, and that's really when the creative juices get flowing for me. Every year, the weather turns. We're going back inside to Seattle. It's going to rain and be dark for 6 months. We secretly like that. And good times are coming. Boy, podcast season about ecocide. There's not going to be a shortage of material. And we have last time around, what's some sloppy shit? I apologize for insect apocalypse. The queen dying kind of triggered me to do a half-assed episode. What a horrible person, and her son is he's the biggest ghoul, and to pretend otherwise is laughable. But again, the media has lost us. Lost me a long time ago, but again, I went to a fancy place and studied it, was it manufacturing consent? Is that the phrase? Okay, goodbye.
It's not easy being green.